My sister stole my 21st milestone. I stood in the corner as all truly overlooked me. Months later, they understood their total loss, but it's too late. They say your 21st birthday is a day you'll never forget. For me, it became the day I realized my family never truly saw me, pushing me to a breaking point that would change my life forever. I stood in the corner of that grand ballroom, completely invisible, as they celebrated my sister's past, not my present. And by the time they finally realized what they'd lost, it was already too late. The crystal chandeliers of the country club glittered, casting a warm glow over the ballroom. White flowers cascaded from every table, and a magnificent three-tiered cake proudly sat on the dessert table. Everything was perfectly set for a 21st birthday, my 21st birthday. Except, somehow, none of it was for me anymore. I watched from the entryway as guests arrived, their faces bright with anticipation, wrapped presents in hand. My stomach twisted as each person breezed past me, heading straight for the receiving line where my family stood. The dress I'd spent weeks agonizing over suddenly felt like a costume. Mom's navy blue silk, which she'd assured me would photograph brilliantly, felt foreign, like it belonged to someone else's performance. "There's the birthday girl!" my Aunt Karen chirped, rushing past me with open arms. For one foolish, fleeting second, I thought she meant me. Then, I watched Mom embrace Olivia, my 23-year-old sister, who twirled in a champagne-colored gown that probably cost more than my entire college fund. Mom appeared at my elbow, her face etched with that specific brand of irritation she reserved just for me. "Why are you lurking over here? Go help your sister greet people. This is her special night." The words hit me like a physical blow. Her special night. "Mom," I started, barely a whisper. "It is my birthday. I'm turning 21 today." She waved a dismissive hand, already scanning the room for more pressing matters. "Olivia mentioned she never had a real 21st birthday because your father was unwell that year. When she brought it up a few months ago, we thought combining the parties would be more feasible. Don't be selfish about this." That word, selfish, hung in the air, accurate and painfully familiar. I'd heard variations of it my entire life, whenever my desires dared to contradict Olivia's. Birthday celebrations revolved around her college finals. Family trips were planned for her semester breaks. Christmas mornings were postponed because she needed extra sleep after her night shifts as a physician assistant. "We could have just had 2 parties," I managed, my voice still barely audible. Mom's laugh was frigid. "Do you have any idea how much this venue costs? Be grateful we're celebrating you at all. Most parents wouldn't go through this trouble." She vanished into the crowd before I could respond, leaving me alone as servers glided past with champagne flutes and hors d'oeuvres. The DJ started a pop song Olivia liked, and I saw my sister dancing with Dad in the center of the room, everyone cheering. No one seemed to notice that the actual birthday girl was nowhere near the spotlight. My phone vibrated. It was Megan, my best friend since middle school. "Running late? Could you please save me a seat at your table?" I glanced at the seating map on an easel near the door. Table 1. Rebecca and John, my parents, Olivia, Ethan, Olivia's boyfriend, Karen, and a smattering of family friends. My name was at table 7, tucked away in the back corner with distant cousins I barely knew and my mostly deaf great-aunt. The tears started before I could stop them. I ducked into the restroom, pressing cold paper towels to my eyes, trying to save my makeup. The face staring back at me in the mirror looked so young, so foolish. How had I allowed myself to hope tonight would be different? Every milestone in my life had unfolded this way. Olivia center stage, me in the wings. When I emerged, the party was in full swing. Olivia held court at a table surrounded by her hospital friends, all laughing at a story she was telling. Mom and Dad were nearby, beaming with pride. The cake was brought out, and I watched with dull resignation as it read, "Happy 21st birthday, Olivia." No mention of my name anywhere. "Excuse me." A waitress approached me with a tray of champagne. "Are you at the birthday party?" The question nearly broke me. I took a glass, even though I wasn't supposed to, and drained it in 3 gulps. The bubbles burned, but the tiny buzz helped take the edge off my shame. People around me danced, laughed, and celebrated someone who had already had her moment 6 years prior. Olivia had used my real 21st birthday as a convenient pretext to relive her glory days. Megan finally arrived. One look at my face, and she pulled me into a tight hug. "What happened? You look devastated." I recounted everything in a jumble of words, my voice thick with tears. Her expression shifted from surprise to raw anger as she scanned the room, taking in every detail I'd described. "Are you kidding me? This is insane. Where's your cake? Your presents?" I pointed to the gift table, overflowing with boxes and bags. Most of them have Olivia's name on the tags. People thought they were coming to her party. Megan grabbed my hand. "We're leaving right now." "I can't just leave my own birthday party." "It's not your party anymore." She was already pulling me towards the exit. "Come on, we'll go somewhere that actually appreciates you." I glanced back at my family. Mom laughed at something Karen said. Dad had his arm wrapped around Olivia's shoulders, looking at her with such profound fondness that it physically pained me. Neither of them had looked at me like that in years. Perhaps they never had. We made it to the parking lot before Mom caught up. Her heels clicked on the pavement, her cheeks flushed with rage. "Where do you think you're going? You can't just abandon your sister's party." "My sister's party?" I repeated, the words tasting like ash. "It was supposed to be mine." "You're being dramatic. Get back inside and stop embarrassing this family." Something inside me shattered then, like ice fracturing under strain. "No." Mom's eyes widened. I had never outright defied her before. "What did you say?" I said, "No, I'm done. I'm leaving and I'm not coming back." "Don't be ridiculous. You're 21 years old with no job and no prospects. Where exactly do you think you'll go?" I had gotten into Stanford with a partial scholarship, entirely on my own, because my parents were too preoccupied managing Olivia's career to help with my college applications. The plan was to save money by living at home and commuting. That idea vanished right there in the country club parking lot. "I'll figure it out." My voice sounded more confident than I felt. "I've been figuring things out by myself for years anyway." Mom's expression shifted from angry to a flicker of hurt, if she was capable of caring that much. "If you walk away now, don't expect us to bail you out when reality hits. You'll have to survive on your own." "I've been surviving on my own my entire life. You just never noticed." I jumped into Megan's car before Mom could reply. Through the glass, I saw her stand there for a moment, clearly torn between dragging me back inside and returning to her immaculate party. The party won. She always chose what made her life simpler, and dealing with my emotions had never been easy for her. Megan drove us to a restaurant on the outskirts of town, with faded vinyl booths and humming fluorescent lights. We ordered pancakes, even though it was 9 p.m., and she let me cry into my coffee as I processed what I had just done. My phone buzzed with texts from family members, most of them variations on the same theme. I was ungrateful, immature, and selfish for spoiling Olivia's evening. Not one person asked if I was okay. "You can stay with me," Megan said. "My parents won't mind. They've got the guest room just sitting empty." I accepted, having no other options. That night, I packed my belongings into trash bags and left my parents' house while they were still at the country club. They didn't get home until after midnight. By then I was gone. The next 2 years were the hardest of my life. I worked 2 jobs while studying full-time at Stanford, living on 4 hours of sleep and instant ramen. Megan's parents charged me a minimal rent and treated me with more kindness than my own family ever had. I kept my head down, focused on academics, and gradually built a life that was entirely my own. For the first few months, my parents did try to contact me. Mom left voicemails demanding I apologize to Olivia. Dad sent emails with subject lines like, "Time to come home," that I deleted before reading. Eventually, the text stopped. They dismissed me as easily as they'd crossed an item off a grocery list. I switched majors to computer science after discovering an unexpected knack for coding. My professors appreciated my work, and by junior year I landed an internship with a small, innovative tech company downtown. They took a chance on me when bigger companies wouldn't. I threw myself into the job with the same intensity I'd used to survive, and it paid off. They offered me a full-time position before graduation. The firm specialized in data analytics software, and I joined their development team at the perfect time. We were building something truly useful, a platform that helped small businesses understand their customer data without needing expensive consultants. My role centered on the user interface, making complex information accessible to non-tech savvy people. It was incredibly fulfilling to create tools that empowered people, perhaps because I knew what it was like to have no power at all. Lauren, my team leader, became an unexpected mentor. She was in her mid-30s, brilliant without being arrogant, and saw potential in me that I didn't yet see in myself. During late-night debugging sessions, she'd share anecdotes about her own complicated family dynamics. Her parents had split when she was young, forcing her to navigate two households, vying for her loyalty. She knew what it meant to be caught between unrealistic expectations. "You work like someone with something to prove," she commented one evening, when I was the last person in the office. "But you don't need to prove anything to anyone except yourself." Her words stuck with me. I'd been operating under the assumption that success would somehow legitimize my decision to leave, that achievements would retrospectively explain the agony of departing my family. But Lauren was right. I sought outward acceptance because I had never learned to validate myself. Around this time, I started therapy. With a full-time job and good benefits, my insurance covered mental health sessions. Lauren had recommended her own therapist after seeing how hard I was pushing myself. Dr. Patricia Lawson was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a disarming ability to see through any facade I put up. During our first appointment, I spent 45 minutes explaining that I was fine, just dealing with normal stress. "Tell me about your family," she said in the way therapists do, asking questions that seemed casual but cut right to the heart of the matter. I gave her the sanitized version first. Busy parents, a sister who got more attention, normal sibling rivalry stuff. Dr. Lawson listened without interrupting, her face calm yet attentive. When I finished, she asked a single follow-up question. "When was the last time someone in your family asked how you were doing and actually waited for an honest answer?" I opened my lips to speak, but realized I couldn't recall a single instance. The silence stretched between us, heavy with implications I wasn't prepared to confront. That's when I started sobbing. And once I started, I couldn't stop. 3 years of buried sadness spilled out in Dr. Lawson's office, and she just sat there offering tissues and letting me unravel. Therapy became my lifeline. Week after week, I peeled back layers of dysfunction that I'd accepted because it was all I'd ever known. Dr. Lawson helped me understand that my parents' emotional neglect wasn't my responsibility. Olivia's behavior was a symptom of the toxic system from which I had escaped. She taught me about concepts like scapegoat and golden child, which helped me make sense of my childhood. Your parents created a dynamic in which your sister was rewarded for simply existing, while you were punished for having needs, Dr. Lawson explained during one session. That's not normal sibling rivalry. That's structural favoritism, and it causes real psychological harm. Hearing it put so clinically and clearly helped me stop blaming myself. I had spent years wondering what was wrong with me that prevented my parents from loving me properly. Therapy showed me that the problem had never been mine. They were damaged parents raising children in a dysfunctional system, and I had become collateral damage. My professional trajectory skyrocketed. The startup secured several major contracts, and our team grew rapidly. I was promoted to lead developer 6 months after graduating, which came with a significant raise. Suddenly, I was earning enough money not just to live, but to thrive. I started actively paying off my student loans, chipping away at a burden that had seemed overwhelming just months earlier. My first big purchase was a car. Nothing fancy, just a reliable vehicle that meant I no longer had to rely on public transit. I drove it off the lot and sat in the parking spot for 15 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, marveling at this concrete symbol of my independence. No one had co-signed for me. No one had contributed a single dollar. This car belonged entirely to me, earned through my own efforts. By the time I was 21 years old, the age I was when I left home, mind you, I was earning more money than I had ever imagined possible. The startup had grown into something significant, and my early involvement meant I had stock options that would vest over the next few years, potentially worth a lot of money if the company continued on its current. Plants adorned the windowsills because I loved how they softened the contemporary lines. Books filled handcrafted shelves because reading was my childhood escape. Art from local galleries hung on the walls because I wanted to support others creating something from nothing. Megan helped me host my first real dinner party in the new place. She had been my unwavering support through everything, and her family had become an example of healthy relationships. Her parents treated me like a second daughter, attending my college graduation when my own parents did not. They handed me a card with a generous check inside and a letter that simply said, "We're so proud of you." I sobbed as I read those 4 words, understanding how much I'd craved them my whole life. "Look at you," Megan exclaimed, gazing around my apartment with evident delight. "You did this, all of this, despite everything they put you through." "Because of everything they put me through," I corrected her. "I wouldn't have fought this hard if I'd had an easier path." It was true, even if admitting it felt complicated. My parents' neglect had instilled in me a tenacity I wouldn't have had otherwise. I'd learned to rely entirely on myself, to trust my own judgment, and to achieve success through sheer grit. Those were valuable skills, even if I wished I had learned them differently. Social media became a minefield during this time. I locked down my profiles after leaving home, but I'd occasionally slip up and see what my family was posting. Olivia's Instagram was a highlight reel of her perfect life. Romantic dates with Ethan, brunches with friends, professional photos from her hospital job. Mom's Facebook page was filled with effusive posts about Olivia's accomplishments. Each one reminded me of the accolades I had never received. I trained myself not to look. Dr. Lawson called it protecting my peace, and she was right. Every time I looked at those pages, an old hurt reawakened. Better to focus on my own life, my own achievements, and my own carefully constructed happiness. Work offered structure and purpose. Lauren promoted me to team leader when she took on a director position. Suddenly, I had 3 young developers reporting to me. The responsibility felt immense, but I tackled it the way I did everything else, by working harder than required and refusing to fail. My team respected me, not because I demanded it, but because I genuinely cared about their growth and success. "You're really good at this," Marcus, one of my developers, said after I helped him debug a particularly tricky problem, like better than any manager I've had before. This praise caught me by surprise. I just remember how it felt to be starting out without any guidance. I admitted. I tried to be what I needed back then. That philosophy extended beyond my job. I started volunteering at a youth coding program for underprivileged children, teaching teens from disadvantaged backgrounds the very skills that had saved me. Watching kids grasp concepts and light up with possibility felt redemptive, as if I was paying forward what Megan's family had given me. Many of these kids came from much worse situations than mine, and their resilience humbled me. Ashley, a 15-year-old girl, brought up painful memories of my younger self. She was quiet and cautious, clearly intelligent, but convinced she didn't deserve opportunities. Her parents were going through a messy divorce, and neither seemed particularly concerned about her well-being. Her aloof posture and guarded comments reminded me of my own story. "You're really talented," I told her one day after class. "Have you ever thought about studying computer science in college?" She shook her head. "No." Olivia called me right away, her voice sharp with surprise. "You're seriously not coming to my wedding?" "I have a work commitment. I can't reschedule." It was a simple lie. I'd mastered the art of deceiving myself. What work commitment could be more important than your sister's wedding? This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Actually, based on divorce rates, it probably isn't, I thought, but kept it to myself. "I'm sorry I can't make it." "This is about the birthday thing, isn't it? You're still holding a grudge after 2 years." The nonchalant dismissal of my anguish jarred something inside me. "You took my 21st birthday. You made it about yourself. And our parents let you do it. They've let you take everything from me my entire life. So no, I'm not coming to watch you have another perfect moment while I stand in the background pretending to be happy for you." "You're being selfish," she snapped. That word again. Selfish. They always accused me of wanting anything for myself. "Maybe I am," I retorted. "But at least I'm open about it." I hung up before she could reply. My hands shook as I put down the phone, adrenaline coursing through me. I'd finally said what I'd needed to say for years, and it felt both freeing and terrifying. Mom called next, followed by Dad, then Karen. I let every call go to voicemail. Their messages followed a predictable pattern. Disappointment, guilt-tripping, accusations of sabotaging another family gathering. Nobody questioned why I had said no. Nobody addressed the possibility that I might have genuine reasons for keeping my distance. I blocked their numbers and returned to work. 2 months later, my company signed a huge client, putting us firmly on the map in the IT world. For the first time in my life, my stock options looked significantly more valuable, and financial security seemed truly possible. The local business journal ran a profile on young professionals making waves in Chicago's startup environment, and they interviewed me for it. I spoke about overcoming hardship, creating success from nothing, and the importance of forging your own path, even when others try to hold you back. The article went live on Thursday. By Friday morning, my estranged family members had found ways to reach me, via email, social media, and even Karen showing up at my office. The article itself had been more illuminating than I had anticipated. The journalist, Christina Wu, had asked probing questions about my journey. She wanted the human interest angle, the hardship that led to achievement. I'd been careful not to mention my family explicitly, but anyone who knew me would know the narrative. What drove you to succeed? Christina had asked during our interview at a downtown coffee shop. I considered sanitizing my response with generic business jargon like passion and hard work, but her genuine curiosity compelled me to be honest. I wanted to prove that I could build something worthwhile without the help most people take for granted. I told her, I wanted to show that being underestimated doesn't define your value. The published essay featured several quotes from me. There were photos of me at my workstation, laughing with my development team, and standing against the city skyline. The headline declared, "From survival to success, how one developer built her empire alone." Christina had interwoven my story with broader themes of self-made professionals, generational shifts, and the growing number of young people carving their own paths.